Hello everyone, and now welcome to a game between Fantafiction and RazerMoon. RazerMoon opening things up with a crypt and a Necropolis here on the bottom left-hand side of the map. Theories on that in just a bit. Meanwhile, on the top right-hand side of the map, we're looking at RazerMoon spawning as the Red Night Elf. Necropolis first, what does that mean? Well, I actually had to restart this replay just because I missed that early detail. Necropolis opening means that lumber is going to be a very big issue because we see this starting ghoul already out on the opposite side of the battlefield. This ghoul is given to you along with 3 acolytes to try and harvest your resources early. RazerMoon now suffering a fair amount of damage on this Ancient of War, and it's not going to be able to tank nearly as much damage at all. Meanwhile, back over here on the bottom left, we can see a Ziggurat is getting added in. Ultra of Darkness just now getting started at the 1 minute mark as the ghoul is still trying to rack up damage against this Ancient of War here. Ancient of War down to 100 or back up to 200 hit points. Ghoul wants to aggro the Ancient of War once more, but a Wisp perhaps now going to get in the way. We might see an Ensnare. There's an Ensnare, and now RazerMoon unable to block the padding on that ghoul, and this ghoul now down to 16 hit points will be trying to retreat all the way back home. Alright, meanwhile, back in the home of Fantafiction, Altar of Darkness about halfway done. Meanwhile, Death Knight already 2/3 of the way done being trained, so it will be quite some time before we see any heroes creeping on Fantafiction side unless we see a swap or a wait at the tavern. That would actually be a really good tactic. Use that early ghoul and then try and use a tavern hero early on, say the Pit Lord or the Dark Ranger, but I don't believe we're going to be seeing that in this game. Nope, it is going to be a Death Knight now being trained with no units heading out over here to the tavern. Alright, interesting opening overall, but the delay in getting that hero out on the battlefield could be tremendous as the Ancient of War here trying to, well, go after these Forest Troll Trappers. Alright, Demon Hunter picks up a Ring of Protection +4. Ancient of War still regenerating hit points, and while eating up some of those precious trees over here to try and replenish its hit points. Alright, on the bottom left, still that second Necropolis, Ultra of Darkness here. We are nearing the 3-minute mark of this game with no hero from the Undead. Alright, you think you've seen all of the build orders and then something else comes to shock and surprise you. I don't know, maybe if Fantafiction watches my videos, 你看到我吗? Well, if you watch my videos and understand English or understand my English translations, maybe try that with a Tavern Hero and see what happens. Demon Hunter coming back around here. Forest Troll, High Priest going to get cleaned up. We are looking at Immolation being the ability here. Death Knight now on the move. Sold the Scroll of Town Portal. Does have a Sacrificial Skull. Demon Hunter is now out here on the battlefield as well. And the Demon Hunter does have Immolation. Is he going to try and pick up Boots of Speed or something? Also has a Potion of Replenishment here. Meanwhile, Death Knight aggroing some of the creeps. There's a quick Ensnare. Forest Troll Trapper going to get cleaned up. This is a very wide army of ghouls, as we're looking at this Forest Troll Trapper about to get taken down too. Demon Hunter about to get surrounded by ghouls, but has Immolation to try and deter them. There's a quick Death Coil for a heal, and now are we looking at a potential surround? That it does seem a bit dangerous, as that ghoul is now down to 177 hit points after the Death Coil. Alright, Death Coil for the save does make it right there. Skeletal Minion is going to be easy to clean up, as that Immolation aura, or Immolation just burning through all of those units around. Demon Hunter able to escape away. One ghoul looks like he will get burned up here, as the Demon Hunter now down to 131 hit points trying to back away. Meanwhile, low hit point ghoul gets, I thought he got denied by the Death Knight, not 100% sure. Potion of Replenishment by the Demon Hunter as they retreat back. Ancient of War back up to health here. Tree of Life taking the Tree of Ages. Demon Hunter's replenishment potion slowly but surely getting more and more hit points and mana. Meanwhile, back at home, Fantafiction taking the tier 2 as well, going for a graveyard, as well a number of ghouls back onto the Blight, perhaps to try and collect a bit more lumber. trying to rotate the crops, so to speak. Thank you for the sub. Every subscription, every sub does definitely help out here, as the Death Knight still sitting at level 1 after all this time. Demon Hunter going to turn on Immolation, turn on the damage, try to go after some of these units here. We're going to see a Death Coil find a low hit point ghoul, as the Demon Hunter engaging against a couple of low hit point units again. All right, we do see double ensnares. That could actually be good, but I don't believe RazerMoon has enough mana and hit points to finish off these ghouls, as the Demon Hunter never went back home to try and drink from these moonwells, even though some of them were already near full. I think if he had gone back home, used Moonwell, and then tried to re-engage, he would have been in a much better spot to take down a couple of ghouls, especially with those lucky ensnares by the Forest Troll Trapper, but unable to capitalize. Army of archers hiding off to the side here. Demon Hunter quickly healing up once more. Could try and grab from this Moonwell just to get a little bit more mana, since it is back up to full. Where is the Demon Hunter teleporting to? Back to this frontline group of archers. Alright, Death Knight still sitting at level 1, still has a sacrificial skull. Gonna go after this Murloc Nightcrawler creep camp now, trying to surround and finish off this creep camp quickly and easily. Meanwhile, Demon Hunter at level 3 now, and will he go for level 2 Immolation? That is the question. He will be going for level 2 Immolation. Also has level 1 Evasion for a bit of, well, durability. Also picking up a Tome of Agility M2. That Tome of Agility, extra damage, Panda, follow-up hero here. Meanwhile, we are looking at tech to tier 3 already underway. No Lich out on the battlefield. Death Knight going to try and exchange blows against the Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter turns on Immolation again and now chasing after those skeletal minions. Meanwhile, archers going after this Ogre Magi creep camp. One Ancient of War, a different one than the one off to the north, also absorbing quite a bit of damage, eating through the trees, and, well, will allow that Brewmaster to get to level 2 with relative ease and safety. Alright, Tome of Knowledge there. Archers would easily be able to pelt down this Gargoyle. Gargoyle does not look like he's going to be in a great spot, even though we are looking at a double crypt coming in from the undead player by undead player Fantafiction. All right, Gargoyles testing the waters, trying to see if he can put pressure onto the Ancient of Lores. There's going to be plenty of archers out here. The archers also have that additional range going from 500 to 700. The Gargoyles really have to be within that danger range. If they're trying to go after those buildings, the archers should be able to just pelt them down with ease. Still, no sign of a second hero yet. We are teching to tier 3, and I am still a little bit baffled by Fantafiction's opening so far. Alright, Death Knight gonna wander around to the far side here. What is happening? There's a Shade keeping track of things. Perhaps trying to go after a couple of easy kills here. Ancient of War suffering a little bit of damage. Death Knight perhaps going to regroup. Nope. None of that just quite yet. Death Knight with a bunch of gargoyles going to go after some of these creeps here. Skeletal minions are down. It seems like this Null Overseer is not quite sure who to attack. Oddly enough, finally going to engage against that Death Knight now. More skeletal minions popping up out of the ground as we see that Null Warden and Null Assassin being, laid away, getting killed. Meanwhile, Brewmaster sitting at level 2. Death Knight perhaps gonna try and go after or do a potential creep jack onto the Panda and these archers. Ancient of War absorbing a good amount of damage. Shade is keeping track of everything, but, well, Fantafiction knows since he's not sitting at level 3, he's not really gonna be able to put down the pressure that he truly, really wants. All right, there's still that sacrificial pit there. We are at Black Citadel, so we are at tier 3 with a Lich now out on the battlefield and Orb of Corruption. Gargoyles perhaps going to try and finish off this Rock Golem creep camp here. There's a boulder to the Lich here as we see an engagement getting underway. Death Knight will get to level 3. Level 2 Death Coil is going to be available. Death Knight now perhaps looking to back up. Auto attack damage given to the Lich for, well, more effectiveness from that Orb of Corruption. Both sides still fighting their way through as the Stone Form Gargoyles, 15 armor, able to regenerate hit points as well. And I guess that's a good point here. Demon Hunter now making its rounds here. Is he going to be able to Death Coil Frost Nova, trying to pick up the Tome of Agility? Immolation now once more being used against all of those ghouls. And the Death Knight is going to be able to Death Coil again. There's a Death Coil down to 13 hit points. Frost Nova finishes the job. Death Coil Frost Nova. That 1-2 combination getting the job done and shutting down that level 3 Demon Hunter. All right. Well, one of the strongest 1-2 punches in the game. Death Coil, Frost Nova, their synergy working out so well. That Lich with that Orb of Corruption removing some of that precious armor from that Death Knight. And, well, that's what, or not, yeah, excuse me, from that Demon Hunter. And that's what ultimately did him in. What is going to unfold next? No expos by any players that I see. There is a Sentry Ward right there. A Shade is keeping track of the Brewmaster. And well, who and what is Fantafiction going to be doing with this information? He knows that his opponent is on the far side of the map. He knows that I believe he's going to try and clear out this red creep camp, knowing that his opponent is going to be trying to clear out a red creep camp too. Overlord throws a shockwave across all of the skeletal archers. Damage well, is going to be dropping significantly. Meanwhile, these other archers were not able to get into position easily to actually fight and engage. Who's going to clear out the creep camp faster? Overlord finally going to get taken down here. Lich is still seeing that level 2 Medallion of Courage is strength and intelligence. Could be useful for the, well, either the Death Knight or the Lich, as they can both use more hit points and more mana. Demon Hunter, Resurrection nearly completed. Meanwhile, Forest Troll High Priest and Forest Troll Trapper, all that remains of this last red creep camp. All right, still having access to this high ground or close laboratory. We're looking at some more creeping happening here. This is a pretty interesting job using the gargoyles' stone form as a way to, well, be able to clear out creeps and generally regenerate a decent amount of hit points. There's a Wisp right there, going to be an auto attack. No, just a quick Death Coil kill, giving level 4 to that Death Knight. Lich now with plus 15 attack on those auto attacks. Perhaps could use for a Glove of Haste too, as we're looking at the Murloc Huntsman now getting cleaned up here. All right. All this easily cleaned up once more. The last couple of orange creep camps now getting finished off. The high ground laboratory by the undead still available, and well, a small 5-3-3 creep camp in the center of the map still available on the other side. Now, Demon Hunter has come across here. Demon Hunter does have an Orb of Venom trying to put in pressure. There's a Mana Burn and shutting down those enemy heroes after the Tome of Retraining to get level 2 Mana Burn and will remove precious mana from that Lich and that Death Knight. Death Knight going to turn back around here. Death Knight does have a Talisman of Evasion. Are we going to see some damage? There's a Mana Burn once more. Death Knight now down to 0 mana as well, as he's going to be perhaps backing up, getting a little bit more hit points and mana from this Obsidian statue, and then perhaps moving out forward once more. This is the last remainder of the creeps on the map. Level 4 on the Death Knight. Lich should be able to get to level 4, and after this last duel of Forest Trolls get finished off. There's level 4 on that Lich there. Now, what do we have? We have 1 0 upgraded gargoyles, a Death Knight, 1 destroyer, and 1 obsidian statue. 50 supply over 70, and Fantafiction is starting to build up a cache of gold. Meanwhile, we're looking at RazerMoon expoing to the top left-hand side of the map, and this is all scouted out by this 1 Shade already. Also getting the backpack upgrade at the Tree of Eternity, not quite sure what that is about, and also looking at this Goblin Shredder clearing out well, a giant alcove here in the base. Perhaps going to be able to hide a couple of quick tech buildings in here momentarily. Death Knight once more loses all of its precious mana. Lich perhaps going to try and go for a Frost Nova here. Brewmaster sitting at level 5, also with Claws of Attack plus 12, but doesn't have the Orb of Venom, so he has no way to attack the air. However, that Drunken Haze Breath of Fire combination may be damaging enough. Caught up that hero disadvantage pretty quickly, yeah. Taking down that level 3 Demon Hunter, shutting down the Demon Hunter's ability to be able to creep, a big deal here. Meanwhile, Shade trying to keep track of what is going on. There's a mana burn, and once more, the Demon Hunter taking a little bit of damage again. Now, Fantafiction's go wide strategy not going to work out well against the Brewmaster's Drunken Haze Breath of Fire, but it comes down to execution. Will RazerMoon be able to get that Drunken Haze Breath of Fire across the Gargoyles, or will the Gargoyles be able to, well, keep their hit points high enough, perhaps by going into stone form and coming back out to reduce some of that, damage over time? There's a quick Death Coil Frost Nova there. Nice 1-2 combination. Demon Hunter may try and test the waters, perhaps even try and mana burn down these obsidian statues to reduce their life cycle effectiveness. Meanwhile, we're also looking at Fantafiction training up a large number of units back at home, now up to 75 over 80 supply. RazerMoon hasn't gotten the gold out of this expo yet, so this may be a pure fight and understanding in economics, knowing when your opponent has invested very heavily in the infrastructure but doesn't have enough to really challenge you on the battlefield or the marketplace in this analogy. So, well, Fantafiction going to be rolling out with a 77 supply army, going to have a couple of destroyers, have a couple of meat wagons, and really look to pressure this expo before this expo can start to pay for itself. Couple of Wisps getting trained here, and we can see the Undead is moving on out, or Night Elf is moving out across. Are they going to catch some of these units? Here we are, here we go, going to try to go after these units. There's a quick Death Coil Frost Nova, but the Demon Hunter using a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability there. Meat wagons, and the Abominations also bringing in Disease Cloud as the Demon Hunter goes after some quick units. There goes a Druid of the Claw there. Both sides suffering heavy casualties, but Fantafiction with a much larger supply able to really still rack up quite a bit of damage. There's Death Coil Frost Nova. Panda still has plenty of mana as we see a Staff of Preservation for the save there. Another meat wagon needs to be trained up down to 90 or 67 supply. There's another meat wagon. They need to go after this expo here. Otherwise, RazerMoon's economic advantage will start to take root. Meanwhile, Obsidian statues could easily get picked out here. Panda trying to get a Breath of Fire across onto the Gargoyles, instead hits another Obsidian statue, but, well, that Obsidian statue about to get blown over as well. Are we going to see mana burns? Yes, we are. Demon Hunter coming across. Death Coil Frost Nova, another Breath of Fire, trying to catch some of those units again. Scroll of Healings will not work against all of this, as the Panda is now running into a little bit of trouble himself, unable to get back freely and easily. All right. Fantafiction, 1-4 is too far, trying to get into position to start lobbing attacks against this expo here. You can see that the Ancient of War is taking a little bit of damage over time, and now in comes the Demon Hunter, fully rejuvenated, ready to go. Are we going to see some Devour Magic? There's a Mana Burn onto the Lich. Lich unable to get the Frost Nova off as we see a rotation here. Meanwhile, both sides still fighting their way through. Druid of the Claw about to get taken down. One Druid of the Claw down. There's some more Devour Magic, removing some of that precious roar as a meat wagon coming in from behind, going to get cleaned up by the Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter now going to be in a little bit of trouble. Scroll of Town Portal in order to get away. Is this going to cause a weird separation? It could cause some separation there as the army is left behind. Both heroes got teleported, and the rest of the army was left behind here. Stone form now on to this meat wagon here, or this, excuse me, see, I'm trying to click on this. The stone form gargoyle. I guess I don't know the hitbox on a stone form gargoyle. It's like, huh? Yeah, like, look at that. Look at that. I'm like, yeah. I have to be below the, what's it called? Below the hit point bar, even though you almost kind of think you can click on it above it. All right, don't click on stone form gargoyles enough. All right, coming on through, Demon Hunter trying to dive in onto that meat wagon. Looks like he's going to be able to get eyes on target. Is he going to be able to do so? No. Blight now being placed down. Staff of Preservation for the save, and both sides fighting. 72 supply compared to 56. Demon Hunter was teleported back home. Well, Druid of the Claw finding a way to get a claw onto that meat wagon, but ends up getting cleaned up himself. Now, this army is not very strong at taking down buildings, and right now, RazerMoon RazerMoon does have the economic advantage and is maybe able to start pulling away if he's able to trade efficiently. That's just the difficult part right now, being able to trade efficiently, as we see another mana burn onto the Lich once again. Breath of Fire blowing on over. All right, there goes a Druid of the Claw. Lich still trying to fight its way through. Perhaps going to try to take down some of those other units as the, well, as the Druid of the Claw able to back away at 400 hit points. Drunken Haze, Breath of Fire, and wow, that Stoneform Gargoyle is somehow able to dodge that Breath of Fire, perhaps because he was landing as the Brewmaster escapes away at 28 hit points. Both sides still fighting, a lot of low hit point units across the board. Staff of Preservation trying to save pretty much everything as the Lich gets to level 5. Ancient Protector down to 148 hit points. Even though, well, this unit composition not good at taking down buildings, it seems enough to get the job done at 2 Abominations with normal attack, magic attack, skeletal minions, finishing it up here. Now, RazerMoon in a difficult spot. He no longer has the economic advantage. His own Brewmaster low on hit points. He needs to get a rejuvenation from that Druid of the Claw. Not quite sure what that Druid of the Claw is waiting for. As we see a mana burn go down. All right, Brewmaster shows up to the party. There's a rejuvenation. Brewmaster shows up to the party completely underdressed here as the Brewmaster does save that Demon Hunter and is now trying to retreat back. There's a Death Coil finding that low hit point Druid of the Claw as the Brewmaster is no longer getting rejuvenation, but back up to at least 500 hit points. All right, getting healed back up. Level 5, level 4, going up against 2 level 5 undead heroes. An unorthodox opening by Fantafiction, leading to, and well, followed up by just being a little bit behind in terms of hero level pace because of that delayed hero, making up the difference after RazerMoon kind of gift-wrapped the Demon Hunter on the southern side of the map. And even going up against a level 5 Panda, this Panda has not been able to use Breath of Fire well enough to deal with these mass gargoyles. All right. Now, Fantafiction and RazerMoon both out of mineable gold. We could be looking at the old school strategy, unsummon buildings, and then as you unsummon buildings, you, well, get into that 80 supply here. Yeah, there goes a slaughterhouse. Are we going to see any other buildings? We have another necropolis that's not being used. There's one crypt. Only need one of each production building at this point. And even going against the graveyard. All right, so no graveyard. So we could be looking at perhaps another abomination or another obsidian statue here. No Crypt Fiend's going to be trained up. Currently 1-1 on those upgrades as the graveyard comes to an end. All right, there goes another building. There goes another building. Still sitting at 75 supply now. Perhaps a couple more items getting picked up by the undead. Those scrolls of healing also very useful. Tree of Eternity, well, able to slowly walk over to this top left-hand spot. And if RazerMoon can hold off his opponent, that will be enough. That's going to be the key, though, as RazerMoon is down 22 supply in this fight. Breath of Fire AoE has not been able to have been eyes on target, has not been that effective. But the Brewmaster this time around does have an Orb of Venom, so we'll be able to at least attack those air units to try and pick them off. Alright. Death Knight, Lich trying to test the waters here. Demon Hunter wanting to get a mana burn, but doesn't want to overexpose himself. A couple of Abominations in the back as well. A fast movement speed. Getting ready to, well, roll on out. Gonna get into position. What's happening next? Off to the north? Well, nope. An attack. All right, so what is this? It looks like it's just gonna be a straight up attack on the bases here, and there's a Breath of Fire. RazerMoon perhaps saying, you know what, I don't need to engage straight up against you, but the Brewmaster does need to get away. Are we gonna see a turnaround Drunken Haze Breath of Fire? No, we are not. And well, really what RazerMoon's doing here is he is buying time. By buying time, he can set up this entangled gold mine and start getting gold out of it. And if he's able to start getting gold out of it, then he's going to start pulling away and start rebuilding his army at a faster rate. All right. There's another Breath of Fire there, down to 660 hit points. It feels like Fantafiction's just not quite sure what he wants to do with all of his units. Moving an Abomination off to the north here, to try and knock it down perhaps. Lich is here ready to go. There goes an Ancient of Wind getting caught out in the open. There's another Ancient of Wind going to get caught out in the open. And are we going to go into a classic base race scenario? We are. This is going to be base race. And well, the Brewmaster's Breath of Fire, very effective against stationary targets. You can see that Breath of Fire blowing over and damaging the Ziggurat here. One Black Citadel. There's a roar, and there's going to be some more big damage. All right, if this Breath of Fire can continue to hit big targets, there goes a Ghoul. More sides fighting their way through. There goes a, well, Frost Nova, and then Staff of Preservation for the save here. Brewmaster is going to turn around. Are we going to see a Staff of Preservation save the other? No, we are not. The Demon Hunter perhaps not, or still on cooldown on that Staff of Preservation as the units are retreating back. Are we getting gold? Yes, we are getting gold out of that northern gold mine. Low hit point Druid of the Claw should be getting a rejuvenation off on himself, as the forced walk between these two bases just causing problems. Demon Hunter, Brewmaster just constantly putting in pressure here. Brewmaster should really be lining up his Breath of Fires to do maximum damage, perhaps hitting all of three of these cluster of buildings. There you are. And then by constantly hitting buildings, he can come out on top. All right, what's happening here? Tomb of Relics, and I have a little bit of problem. Both sides are fighting their way through. Brewmaster, are they going to get Staff of Preservation back home? Brewmaster can turn back around, try to get a Breath of Fire across some of those units, as we see a Staff of Preservation for the save there. All right, another Staff of Preservation. Well, 1 minute cooldown is very effective at getting these units back home. 40 supply compared to 70, as this meat wagon gets shooed away by a Druid of the Claw and a Dryad. All right, both sides still fighting. Brewmaster falls at level 5. I'm assuming a Death Coil and Frost Nova had something to do with it. And now with the Brewmaster gone, what can really be done? But he does have 790 gold, so he could start resurrecting here pretty fast. Units trying to retreat back off to the north. Are we going to see, yep, resurrecting at the tavern? Brewmaster already back out on the battlefield. These Moonwells are pretty full, so that Brewmaster should be able to get back into the battle quickly. What is he waiting for? Yeah, needs to pick up Boots of Speed, sell some other things, and now gonna try and, well, I feel like he's trying to cheese his way into this victory here. All right. Tree of Eternity finally going to get cleaned up here, and as it's finally taken down, what's going to happen? Well, the Brewmaster going to come back around and say, I'm going to try and Breath of Fire all of these buildings over. All right, taking down as many of these buildings as he possibly can. Going to turn back around, perhaps Breath of Fire those two every chance he gets to take down building after building. This is going to get gone as well. All right, there goes another Breath of Fire. What is happening here? There's going to be the Panda trying to fight up against those targets. Mana burn coming across. And the Obsidian statues still have plenty of mana. Demon Hunter trying to retreat back here. Are we going to see a Staff of Preservation onto the, yes, Demon Hunter, but the Brewmaster now going to have a little bit of trouble. He needs to get away. There's a Death Coil, and the Brewmaster with Boots of Speed perhaps able to outrun here. Demon Hunter going to show up, perhaps try to Staff and Preservation. Yes, the Brewmaster back home, only to lose the Demon Hunter. But that perhaps was the purpose of the trade, to get that Brewmaster back home, as Breath of Fire is going to be what is effective against these buildings. All right, quick math, 1,800, 1,900, what, 3,100, 3,600 hit points left on Fantafiction's base. 3,600, a Shade keeping track of that Panda and, well, trying to find out where that Panda is. Meanwhile, are we looking at a resurrection on the Demon Hunter? No, we are not. We can see one Druid of the Cloud being forced to try and retreat back here. Brewmaster gonna go ahead and try and engage. There's a Drunken Haze. There's a Breath of Fire. Are we gonna see one Gargoyle down? Yes, we do. Brewmaster gonna find another Gargoyle, perhaps gets another Goblin Shredder, finding these targets. And wow, even with that additional armor, well, taking down multiple Gargoyles, the Gargoyles cannot just simply be standing there, as that one, well, Druid of the Claw gets cleaned up. Goblin Shredder also getting cleaned up too. Brewmaster just shy of level 6 now. This is absolutely hilarious. 23 supply compared to 52, still a 30 supply well, army size difference, as the Brewmaster. It would be funny if he just turned around and tried to Breath of Fire this group and then leveled up, barely misses the Shade. He would have leveled up to level 6 if he hit that Shade there, gets up to level 6 now. And what is going to happen? Is he going to try to go to Earth, Storm, and Fire and finish off these buildings, or is he going to let Breath of Fire get the job done? That is the question there. All right, Brewmaster heading down, use the Clarity Potion, trying to get mana and get it quickly. Are we going to see a Breath of Fire across these buildings? There's a Breath of Fire. Does also hit the Necropolis. And now, going after this one building here, are we going to see, no, Staff of Teleportation saying, you know what, I can head back home, and my Moonwells still provide me a decent amount of hit points and mana. All right, where is those army of Dryads hiding off to the side here? RazerMoon had gotten just enough gold out of this gold mine to make this fight interesting. Teleporting all the way back, selling a couple of quick items here, trying to get every bit of Moonwell juice before, well, venturing forward. All right, you can see, yeah, like he's just like wandering around these Moonwells, getting every bit of Moonwell juice that he can. The Disease Cloud is preventing the Brewmaster from regenerating hit points easily, as we now see, well, there is a bit of damage. All right, are we going to see Earth, Storm, and Fire coming back across? And what is happening here? Storm going to go ahead and Wind Walk away. There goes Earth. And is Earth just purposely going to attack? Earth is purposely attacking and heading back here. Where is Storm going? Storm is invisible. The Shade could accidentally get taken down by standing too close to Fire, and that would have been actually quite hilarious. All right, there goes Fire here. Meanwhile, Storm is still engaging off to the side. Ancient of Lore moving back here. Earth is where your guy always respawns back. If you do remember, he's trying to get every little bit of damage, and, well, the Shade is keeping track of him, trying to deny experience now, and, well, there is the Brewmaster again. The Moonwell's all back up to full, and the Brewmaster says, you know what, I may be able to do this. There's a Dust of Appearance. He must realize that there is a Shade nearby because Storm was constantly viewed. All right. Earth, Storm, and Fire. 2 minutes of cooldown left. Ancient of Lore trying to hide himself in the trees. Going to get spotted out here. Are we going to be looking at a Dust of Appearance on that Shade? No, not quite yet. Brewmaster knows what's up. Now needs to make its way back out. That Shade had taken well, a lot of close calls with random breaths of fire. And there it... Oh, that Shade purposely backed away again. All right. So what is happening now? We're going to try and see the Brewmaster make its way back down. He used 2 random breaths of fire and was unable... 2 random Dust of Appearances, but was unable to catch that Shade. All right, Brewmaster coming back across. He's going to be looking for Breath of Fire across some of these buildings here. Acolytes are being trained up. There's a Nerubian tower in here amongst all this. There's a Breath of Fire trying to find a little bit of damage. Is he going to be able to, well, Staff of Teleportation out of here? A Demon Hunter going to be coming around, and the Demon Hunter Staff of Preservations. The Demon Hunter was resurrected and retrained back at home. All right, talk about getting just enough gold. That's exactly what happened there. Is Demon Hunter back out on the battlefield, resurrected slowly. 22 supply compared to 47, as the Brewmaster ready to, well, come in from the north. A little bit of a split-pronged attack. Fantafiction knows exactly what's hitting him, but he doesn't have a way to really break free, as the Brewmaster going to come across, perhaps get some Breath of Fire. Yes, catches the one a little bit of damage on the Necropolis. This is going to get taken down, and now perhaps go after the Ziggurat here. All right, Undead Army trying to come across from the other side here. What is going to happen? Down to 10 hit points, down to, or 8 seconds. Now going to Staff of Teleportation away and just teleport back home again. All right, this rinse and repeat strategy over and over and over again. And there is now only 430 hit points left between these 2 armies. Or death for Fantafiction. RazerMoon gonna perhaps be able to ink out a win, as the Haunted Gold Mine here of Fantafiction trying to make this game go a little bit longer. All right, that's not going to work out well, though. We can see on the mini-map, the Dryads are already putting it in position here. Demon Hunter purposely pulling things away. The Potion of Invulnerability used in time, and that will be the job there. Breath of Fire. Why is the Panda backing up? The Panda can just engage here. This is... Oh, no, he's concerned because we still have this Haunted Goldmine currently, well, getting summoned. So there is still one building left. All right, and one Acolyte has to rebuild everything by himself if he truly wants to. Goblin Laboratory. Oh, back off to the north. What is happening here? Dryads, no additional workers. There is one Haunted Goldmine here. One Breath of Fire finding that Acolyte. Could be the difference. All right, how is all of this unfolding? Demon Hunter still sitting at level 4 after all this time. Death Knight, Lich, both sitting at level 6. Lich perhaps wondering why he didn't go for Death and Decay here to take down all of these buildings. That would have been the safer call. As this one Acolyte is now perhaps the most important unit on the battlefield. Demon Hunter, well, doing a little bit of shopping, perhaps units are going to split back around. Shade is keeping track of that Panda. And here we are going into an engagement. Acolyte should perhaps try and, purposely be this far behind. Oh, the Acolyte is standing right there. Are we going to see a Breath of Fire on the Acolyte? We do. Acolyte is now down, and that is going to be it. Panda now going after the Haunted Goldmine. Potion of Invulnerability going to be... No, was it used? It was already used. Going after the Haunted Goldmine. There's that Breath of Fire trying to finish it off. There's Earth Storm and Fire trying to finish off the remainder of this building, and it looks as though it is about to get taken down to 50 hit points, 44 hit points, no additional summoning, and that is the game. Fantafiction is defeated in a base race scenario. Earth, Storm, and Fire. A 5-supply army up against 47. And that is the game. Final scores. Crazy matchup. Let me know what you guys thought of this game in the comments below.